I would like to thank Westfox for having me and giving me this opportunity. Thank you. And please enjoy. Titles are important. They are used as shorthand to efficiently deliver quick amounts of information. A title takes on many forms. It informs you of someone's rank, their societal position, or marriage status. A title can allude to musical cues, timbre, or mood. A title often distributes enticing information about a book's purpose, its characters, or its overall plot particularities. In a movie, the title is the central theme and focus. The movie should be an expounded interpretation of the title. This is of particular note for the once beloved franchise of Star Wars. Now, before I continue, let me introduce my caveats. I do not like the prequel movies. They are poorly written, performed, and damaged a lot of original trilogy canon. The Disney Wars trilogies are an abomination and will be of intense focus in this discussion. And finally, movies are the superseding canon. Star Wars began its story in the cinema medium, and that means what happens in movies trumps all video games, books, comic books, and executive officer excuses and retcons. All of that is disposable. With those things in mind, let us walk forth. In the titles, we can infer the importance of what the movie is trying to present. The Phantom Menace, Darth Maul, and the hidden Palpatine. They are the driving actors for the plot, and the lightsaber duel between Qui-Gon and Maul is the penultimate moment leading to the final duel of the Fates, where one of the menacing characters is dethroned, and the realization of a second Sith looms over the thoughts of the characters. The Clone Wars, the majority of the movie is focused on, well, clones. For worse, mind you, but here it is. Obi-Wan's primary arc is a detective mission which leads him to clones, with the secondary mission of finding the Jedi who invoiced the clone army. Yoda leaves to find out about the clones, and the clones come to the rescue at the third act to protect the Jedi, start a war with the Separatists, and are the primary tool to fight the so-called civil war within the Republic. Thus, the movie's main focus is on the creation of the clone army and the ensuing war utilizing these clones. Revenge of the Sith. This is the sweeping assault of the Sith, or just one man, being Palpatine, upon the Republic and the Jedi. The climactic moments are the slaughtering of the Jedi, the usurpation of the Republic, and the betrayal of the Separatists and their leaders, using the newly minted Darth Vader as the ultimate symbol of retribution upon the Jedi, the turning of the heart of one of their beloved warriors. Granted, my synopsis of the movie makes the actual movie sound much better than the graveyard it truly was. Nevertheless, the movies are about events, and the individual stories in these events are intertwined throughout the main story. When we look upon the golden era of Star Wars, this intertwining of individual stories into the main theme is even more apparent. Star Wars. The original name of the movie was true to its title. It was a war amongst the stars. TIE fighters, the Millennium Falcon, Y and X-Wings, all fighting for dominance in space. A planet is destroyed, multiple planets are visited, and the final battle is waged between the greatest space machine ever created and a jumbled crew of small fighters. Now, if we wish to analyze the retcon named of A New Hope, we could pull out our rhetorical microscopes and look at what the New Hope was. It wasn't Obi-Wan, although he sparks one of the characters involved. It isn't Luke on his lonesome, although he offers the final blow against the Death Star. It isn't Han of his own accord, although he is willing to turn against his own needs and selflessly defend Luke at the 11th hour. It isn't Leia in isolation, although she braves the torture on the Death Star and cleverly hides the plans within R2-D2 in the hopes it will be able to be delivered to those who could use the information. Even the destruction of the Death Star isn't the all-encompassing hope, but is the milestone afforded on the journey. The New Hope, then, is a concatenation of events and the great people who participated in them. The Empire Strikes Back, the most brutal proposition and the most compelling movie in all Star Wars. How does the Empire strike back? It hunts down the rebellion and drives them from Hoth. Darth Vader chases down Leia and Han, captures them after enforcing his will on Lando, and has Han frozen in carbonite, merely to be offered up to Boba Fett for transport. Darth Vader then reveals his kinship to Luke after unceremoniously severing his hand from his forearm in a tragic scene. At the end of the movie, the Empire indeed laid a startling blow to the rebellion and to each individual character in the movie. No one was untouched, not even Darth Vader, by the brutal attacks doled out by the Empire. Return of the Jedi, the crux of the argument to be laid in the future against the Disney trilogy. This is the first movie specifically focused on a person, the making of Luke into a Jedi, the revitalization of the fallen philosophy of Force users and their guardianship of the galaxy. This is the story of how the Jedi would come back into being by the actions of Luke Skywalker, his stalwart nature against the dark side, and denying the promises made to him by the Emperor and by his father. He overcomes the temptation, and his persecution is the stepping stone for his father to turn from his ruinous ways and redeem himself upon the Emperor, saving his son, the future of the Jedi. It is, however, of special note that although Luke is the main focus, he is not all-powerful, not perfect, and required the assistance of his father and friends to conquer the Emperor and the Empire. But his heroic and selfless nature was the linchpin and was meant to be the springboard for the future of the galaxy by unlearning what he had learned and teaching others as Yoda had instructed him. As you can see, even with poorly written and performed movies such as the prequels, and with the epic nature of the original trilogy, the main story was focused on events, with the individual participating in their own arcs in the main event of the story, culminating into the pinnacle of the story, the return of the Jedi in the person of Luke Skywalker. Each movie wasn't about Luke, but about saving of the galaxy, and Luke, at the end, becomes the most important player at the very end, at the critical moment of the hero's journey. And this is how compelling characters and stories are created. Now, let us look at Star Wars, Disney Wars, which is nothing short of an abortion of the once beloved franchise and original trilogies. The Force Awakens. Apparently, the Force was asleep. But as you can imagine, and for those poor souls who watched the movie, we do not have a movie about an all-connecting Force waking up from its slumber. Nope, no Odin sleep here, folks. What the title means to indicate, although poorly, is the awakening of the most powerful Force user ever known, Rey. This is a perfect example of the Mary Sue status of Rey and the intended, unobstructed focus on her as the savior of the galaxy, which mars both the Disney trilogies and the entire canon of Star Wars in total. The Force was apparently asleep, even with Luke and Leia being alive, not to mention Kylo Ren, Snoke, and even Palpatine. It was waiting for Rey, the most important person in the universe. And no, this is not hyperbole or even theoretical. As Snoke himself comments, there has been an awakening. Have you felt it? While speaking to Kylo Ren. Immediately after Rey saves Finn, Han, and Chewbacca from those gangbangers, Kylo even feels her. And it's not all he wants to feel. Am I right? Am I right? The Last Jedi. The travesty committed onto Luke Skywalker. Who was the last Jedi? Is it Leia? Nope. She's never been trained. Yeah. Is it Kylo? No. He's not a Jedi, but a wannabe Sith Lord who cries like a little girl and is emasculated once again, but by Snoke as opposed to Rey. Is it Finn? The comedy relief? Absolutely not. Oh, the Last Jedi must be Master Luke Skywalker, who has realized the error in many of the Jedi teachings and has chosen to forge a new path for Force wielders to create a new peacekeeping council over the galaxy. Nope. Luke wants the Jedi to pass away into oblivion because he cut himself off from the Force and isn't a Jedi anymore. So who is the Last Jedi? Yeah, guessed it. It's Rey. Did she know about the Force? Nope. Not until the last 24 hours. Has she been trained in any type of Jedi education or philosophy? Absolutely not. She's wiser than Luke and can feel the goodness in Kylo. Has she been trained in the Force? Why should she be? She can overcome mind probing, read into others' minds, persuade weaker minds, force, push, and pull, and crack rocks with her mind when she merely reaches out to the Force. Has she been trained with a lightsaber? Hey, she swung a staff around and then played around with a rock, okay? She is totally trained in that and amazing. You saw her take out Kylo? Right. Again, the universe and the title of the movie revolves around Rey, the untrained, never educated, completely unlearned Rey. Don't believe me? According to Yoda, in regards to his book burning, nice, JJ, real nice. Wisdom they held, but that library contained nothing that the girl Rey does not already possess. Of course. The wisdom was written down for the lesser people to learn from. But why bother when Rey possesses all wisdom, just naturally? And how do I know she is the last Jedi? Well, Luke gives us that painful monologue to Kylo Ren. Amazing. Every word you just said was wrong. The rebellion is born today. The war is just beginning, and I will not be the last Jedi. At this moment, you may recall, Rey is lifting 10 tons worth of boulders, effortlessly, literally, without effort. She is actually stunned at what she is doing, but it requires no concentration or work on her part. And she is now the last Jedi. Exactly. The person who did not know the Jedi and the Force were real things 72 hours ago is now the last Jedi. The Rise of Skywalker. This title is a joke. It is still all about Rey, but deceptively, and I will get to that at the end of the spiel. What Skywalker rises, you may ask? Does Leia rise to prominence? She's a Solo, by marriage now, but her blood is still Skywalker, so she could count, but she doesn't. Try again. Does Kylo rise? He's a Solo, but you could argue he is half Skywalker, so is he the one to rise to the occasion? Try again, bucko. Does Luke rise from the grave after being engorged on the Force and dying from an over-Force usage? No. But he does admit that he was wrong about being wrong about everything. So he rose to the occasion, all right, of ruining his character once again. Nice, JJ. Real nice. Of course, the Skywalker who rises is Rey, the universal constant of all things wonderful. What? She's a Skywalker? Who are her parents? They're nobodies. Oh. Then who are her grandparents? Oh, I do have an answer to that one. Really? Who is it? Palpatine is her grandpa. Wow, really? Well, that explains why she doesn't need to be trained and is so efficiently proficient in the Force. No, it doesn't. But don't derail me, dang it. Are you not curious as to why they called it the Rise of Skywalker? Oh, good point. Why do they call it the Rise of Skywalker? Because Rey calls herself a Skywalker. After appropriating everyone's stuff, she appropriates the Skywalker name to herself. That's right, folks. The blood of Palpatine is the victor and the final Force wielder standing. The Skywalkers are all dead, defeated, and what they stood for has been washed away. Even all they once owned belongs to Rey, a Palpatine. The titles of these movies are a not-so-subtle message to point you not towards a story or event, but towards a person. The title, the story, and yes, the entire universe is bending to service Rey, the titular definition of a Mary Sue. The original trilogy and even the prequels showcase events and allow characters to be presented through these events. In Disney, Rey is all that matters, and all events focus on her. The titles betray the arrogant and agenda-ridden focus on her. And in the words of Yoda, that is why you fail.